Everyone, welcome back to another WoW Dragonflight Alpha video. In this video, we're going to be checking out the talent tree for Assassination Rogue. If you haven't seen my first Rogue talent tree video for Outlaw, I would encourage you to check that out because I go into the class side of the tree pretty in detail there, which I'm not going to do in this video. We're just going to focus on the Assassination side in particular. So check that out. There'll be a link in the description below, or I'll throw a card on the video here, or both. So our goal here is to look at the talent tree, just kind of get a feel for what's there, and put together the beginnings of a build that's going to work in outdoor content for leveling, questing, world quest grinding, and stuff like that. In a future video, I'll be taking all the rogue specs out and testing them out in open world content just to see how they actually work, see what changes I would make, etc., etc. So that's what we're going to do in this video. Before we get started, though, please, if you want to see more content like this beyond the alpha, if you want to see future beginners guides and things like that with all the changes, definitely let me know via comments, likes, views on the videos, etc. If that's the case. I'm really using these videos as a test to kind of judge the level of interest in that type of content to see whether or not it's something I want to do in the future. So all that out the way, let's go ahead and jump in. So we are spec Assassination, and if we go over here, we have no talent points in. It looks like the skill they're going to give us by default is going to be Garrote. It's cool, big fan of that ability. So we're going to jump into our spell book, take a look at what they give us. So obviously, if we pop over here and we look at Assassination, deadly master of poisons who dispatches victims with vicious dagger strikes. So we are going to want to switch over to our daggers here. So I had swords on for Outlaw. And then let's jump in and let's see what we have. So we're going to have a couple of stealth abilities, right? So we've got our Ambush. Crimson Vial is one of our defensive abilities that we're going to use a lot. We've got Garrote. Kick is our Interrupt here. We got our Kidney Shot. Stun Finisher. We've got our poisons. Oh, I need the rest of my action bars, huh? I didn't realize they weren't up. If that changed by the spec or... I'm not really sure. So let's throw our poisons over here. We got our Shroud. We got our Slice and Dice Finisher. We got our Sprint for movement speed. We've got our Vanish defensive as well. And then in Assassination, we've got Envenom, which is our main finisher for combo points. We got Mutilate, which is our energy spender that generates combo points for us. We got Poison Knife, so this is a ranged ability we can use to deal damage and apply our poisons and give us a combo point, so a little utility skill there. And we also have Rupture, which is our bleed finisher. In addition to that, we have our Mastery, which increases the damage done by our poisons and bleeds by 32%. So, let's get into the talent tree. So, the Rogue one was a little crazy over here. I'm going to try to remember exactly what I did over here. It's been a day or so since I did the Outlaw Rogue video, and this was definitely one of the more weird trees. But I know we want to pick up evasion for open world content. We're going to want to reduce the cost of Crimson Vial, and that's going to give us access to Iron Stomach, which we do want to pick up here. We probably want to go heavy into bleeds and damage over time here as well. If I recall correctly, we want to reduce the cooldown of Sprint here. Maybe get the Slice and Dice heal. Let's see. There's a few reasons we might want to go down the middle. I think we will pick up Master Poisoner for sure. And then we'll also pick up Numbing Poison. And then we got to put 4 points in. So I think we're going to go straight down the middle. That's going to be 3 points. We got 1 point left. We'll pick up Sap just to have a little bit of utility. If we want to sap something and then, kill the target next to it, we can do that. So let's grab Iron Stomach. Let's grab the reduction on Sprint here. Then we're going to want to increase our movement speed. We're going to get the silence on Garrote. And then we're going to increase the damage of our weapon poisons. I think that's pretty good. We're going to want to continue through. I think our poisons are over on this side, so we're going to go ahead and grab Cold Blood. And then we could pick up Deadly Precision. Alternatively, we could come down the middle here, which I think we're going to do. We will be using Ambush pretty frequently as an opener. We do have Garrote as an option, but I feel like maybe we want to go Ambush. We'll see. We may switch this over to Versatility just based on what happens over in the specialization tree. But for now, we're going to drop the points into Ambush. We're going to drop one into increased melee range, and then we have an additional point that we could put in somewhere. And I think we're just going to... We could grab Cloak of... Let's grab Cloak of Shadows. Why not? I'm not being too overly min-maxy about these points over here right now. You know, we just kind of want to get something together, and then when we go test it, we can tweak everything. So moving through, we definitely want to get Vigor for the increased maximum energy. I just feel like, you know, energy generation and max energy on Rogue is super huge. I don't know if this is mandatory, but it feels mandatory. So then, in addition to this, I think we do want to go down and we've got a leeching poison effect. Our poisons are more powerful, so let's try to go that route there. Question, we've got 1 point left. Where do we want to put it? I think we'll just throw a point into elusiveness right now. So this will make our feint reduce all damage by 30% for 6 seconds, in addition to the 40% area of effect damage reduction. Now, is this exactly what I would go for in the end? No, I don't think so. Actually, we're going to take that point out and put it into improve wound poison. Maybe. Do we want? Nah, we don't. I don't know how good that is. Yeah, we'll go for the defensive here for now. Like I said, a lot of this stuff, you know, we can tweak and change as we test. Rogue has a lot of just utility stuff that I feel like it's pretty hard to make a determination on whether or not, you know, you need it. All right, so we got our numbing poison, we got our little utility there, we got our feint defensive, we've got our blind, crowd control, evasion, and we have our gouge, and then we also have Cloak of Shadows. So lots of defensive utilities here, which I think are pretty good in open world content. Okay, so let's jump over and take a look at the Assassination tree itself. We're going to go through and look at all the abilities we can pick up, which are the ones in the boxes here. And then we'll go through and look at, we have no choices. So again, with Rogue, we don't have any choices, which would be boxes with arrows on them. So we don't have to worry about those. And then we'll be checking out the passives, which are the circles, as we go through and actually make our build. Now, unlike Outlaw, where we had 2 choices at the top, the only time I've seen that so far, we do only have 1 choice here, which is to grab Deadly Poison. So now we have Deadly Poison. Coats our weapons with a lethal poison that lasts for 1 hour. Each strike has a chance to poison the enemy for nature damage over 12 seconds. And then additional poison applications will instantly deal damage. So moving on from here, we've got Fan of Knives. So this is an energy spender that is AoE. Deals damage and applies our poisons at their normal rate. And then we have Shadow Step. We can step through the shadows and appear behind the target as well. 30-second cooldown. I'm not going to go into detail on every single ability here. I'm going to assume you kind of know what's going on. I'll hit the ones I need a refresher on, or the ones that look fairly new. So we also have Shiv. So this is a cheaper energy spender, attacks with the offhand, which deals damage to spells and rage effects and applies a concentrated form of your active non-lethal poison. Not terrible. Atrophic poison, not yet implemented. This poison gives each strike a 10% chance of poisoning the enemy, reducing their damage by 3% for 10 seconds. That seems kind of cool. But we're going to be only able to apply 2 poisons, unless there's something in here that changes that. So we're going to have Deadly Poison. And then most likely, we're going to have either Numbing Poison, or we may have instant poison. So we probably won't need an additional poison here. But maybe if we want to pick up like a survivability poison, we could do that. But we kind of already have one in numbing poison. This reduces attack and casting speed, whereas this reduces damage done. Maybe that's a little bit better. I'm not entirely sure. Like, we don't have a choice to get rid of numbing poison because we want to go through this path. So it's there whether we want to use it or not. And I mean, we can always change poisons up situationally. Alright, so then Shiv will give us the ability to get Crimson Tempest. Your finishing move slashes all enemies within 10 yards, dealing instant damage and causing victims to bleed for additional damage. Deals reduced damage beyond 8 targets. Okay, so this is a bleed. It's an AoE bleed, whereas we have Rupture, which is a single target bleed. Over here we have Exsanguinate. We twist our blades into the target's wounds, causing our bleed effects to bleed out 100% faster. Alright, pretty nice, pretty nice. Death Mark, 2-minute cooldown. Carve a death mark into an enemy, dealing bleed damage over 15 seconds. While marked with your Garrote, Rupture, and Lethal... While marked with your Garrote, Rupture, and Lethal poisons applied to the target are duplicate. Okay, I think they put their commas in some weird places. While marked, your Garrote, Rupture, and Lethal poisons that are applied to the target are duplicated. Okay. Then we have Amplifying Poison. Coat your weapons in a lethal poison that lasts for 1 hour. Each strike has a 30% chance to poison them, dealing damage and applying amplification. Envenom, which I believe is here, our combo finisher. Envenom can consume stacks of amplification to deal increased damage. And we have Sepsis. Infect the target's blood, dealing nature damage over 10 seconds. If the target survives, they suffer an additional. Otherwise, the cooldown for Sepsis is reduced by 30 seconds if they die. Pretty nice one to have there. And then finally, we have Indiscriminate Carnage, which is not yet implemented. It's a 1.5 minute cooldown. Your next Garrote and Rupture will also apply to all enemies within 10 yards of the target, dealing reduced damage beyond 8 targets. So, at the moment, I don't know if I'm being pulled in a particular direction. I like the idea of Exsanguinate being able to bleed the target out faster. I do like that. 2-minute cooldown's a little long for open world content, but it's good enough to use on like rare spawns or elite mobs. Amplifying Poison could be kind of cool, but again, we're running into the issue where like we can't apply 87 poisons unless there's a passive we haven't seen yet. I do like Sepsis, generally speaking. It's a 1.5 minute cooldown. But you're going to hit it, and then you're going to have to kill the target, and then if the target dies, you get 30 seconds off the cooldown. So, I mean, it's closer probably to a minute cooldown, minute 15. That's usable, like, fairly often. And then we have Indiscriminate Carnage as well, which is, again, kind of an AoE. But AoE application of bleeds and poisons, I think, is actually pretty valuable compared to just AoE damage, because a lot of times your bleeds and poison effects, they're hard to restack on targets once you've kind of started your combo, because you kind of want to do an application and then go into a rotation. So I really don't mind having like an AoE bleed or poison application, which in the case of Garrote and Rupture, that's exactly what we would get. So we're going to have to take a look at passives and kind of see where we want to go from there. So we've got, while stealth is active, your attacks always apply your active lethal and non-lethal poisons. So that just gives us a free application when we open up with Garrote or Ambush for our combos. Continuing on, Fan of Knives connects us to Cut to the Chase. Envenom extends the duration of Slice and Dice. I really don't like these kind of mechanics. It's a personal thing. I just don't like the the duration extending minigame. It's not something I personally enjoy, so I don't think I would take this just on the principle of that. Doesn't mean it's bad, but I'm just not a huge fan of that. And that's going to lead into Poisoned Qatar. Phantom Knives damage is increased, and it has an increased chance to critical strike. I really just don't care about that. Open world content on a rogue, the majority of what I'm doing is trying to delete one target and then stealth and delete another target and then stealth and delete another target. Whereas if I'm in a dungeon situation, then a lot of times, you know, having something like a pumped up Phantom Knives where you can kind of AoE spam on 3 or 4 targets is pretty fun. So I'm not really filling this particular chain here, but let's see what we have here. Your finishing moves grant increased damage done for 4 seconds. I mean, that's not terrible. It's not amazing. It leads into Shiv, which again, I just don't think I really care about here. Here we have increase the application chance of your poisons. I like that. And that leads us into this atrophic poison, which you may or may not want to get. So that's an okay, probably a little point dump for these two. Over here we get Shadow Step, which is fine. But then Garrote and Rupture damage increased by 10%. I like that. Kidney Shot also deals bleed damage based on combo points spent, so that's pretty nice. We get a stun and a bleed. That turns that into a fairly nice finisher, actually. So right now, 5 points into Rupture deals 4,000 bleed damage. This would give Kidney Shot up to 2,500 bleed damage. What is our Garrote doing? How much damage are we getting from that? Almost 3,000. So we get a lot of bleed damage from Garrote and also from Rupture. So I think like you could kind of translate that into potentially... Yeah, that's over 6 seconds, actually. 6 seconds is pretty quick. That's a lot of damage. If you look at it, Rupture's damage is over 24 seconds. If you look at this comparatively, okay, 1 point in Rupture gets you 1,300 damage over 8 seconds. Let's see. So probably 2 seconds per tick, I would guess, if I had to. I don't know for sure. So with 24 seconds, hold on, I need to do some shoddy math here. So we've got, what are we doing here? We've got 4,134 divided by 24, 172 damage per second, right? For 5 combo points. So 172, and then here 2,573 divided by 6. 428 per second. That's a pretty strong, fast bleed. And then with our Garrote here, we've got 2,969 over 18. That's 164. So, I mean, that is a pretty strong bleed we can get from Kidney Shot. And I think, like, in open world content, that's pretty nice. Actually, open up with Garrote, right? That's going to give you 18 seconds of bleed. So if you have any effects where it's like the target needs to be bleeding, that should be covered by Garrote, right? And then like just the massive damage you could do with the Kidney Shot bleed in a short amount of time, I think actually might be better for open world content, because you want to kill things pretty quickly, right? You don't want to kill things over 24 seconds like you do with Rupture there. That being said, if this wasn't an option, I would still, you know, Rupture to get the bleed on there. But I like this, okay? I want to get that. Oh, and that's 2 points. 5,000 bleed damage over 6 seconds. So let's math that real quick. 857 damage a second. That's nice. And then we're going to up the Garrote and Rupture damage by 20%. So that's going to give us bigger numbers. Let's see if that applies to the tooltip. 4,100. 4,900. So yeah, it does. It does apply. So that's pretty nice. And then we've got 2 points left. I think we're going to just dump right here. So that's going to give us a guaranteed application of poisons. into 10% extra poison application chance. That also gives us one more dump point if we need it. So let's continue looking at what we have here. So let's make sure we don't want to go onto this left side somehow for some reason. So we know we have Shiv, and we've got Crimson Tempest, you know, whatever. Improved Shiv, that's fine. Phantom Knives radius increased. So again, we're really just kind of sticking like very AoE over here so far. Your Mutilate and auto attacks deal 25% of their damage as nature against targets affected by at least one of your weapon poisons, which is nice when you get the amplification from improved Shiv. So Mutilate right here, it's our main like energy spender combo point generator. And over here, Groat increases the damage of your Mutilate on the target by 15%. Also pretty nice, but none of that I feel like is mandatory with kind of what we're doing right now. So then here in the middle, we've got Death Mark. So that's going to apply the bleed and then double our Groat, Rupture, and Lethal Poisons. And that can pull us into Amplifying Poison or Twist the Knife, which increases our Envenom duration. And that's also going to take us down the middle here. So let's see what we get from this. Poison Bomb, Envenom, and Rupture have a 4% chance per combo point spent to smash a vial of poison at the target location, creating a pool. That was a pretty good ability before. But like to go down this talent tree to get it, we might. But I don't know. Like this last tier, you only get 5 points. You get more points as you level up, but you only get 5 points right now, so it's very competitive. That goes into Dashing Scoundrel. Envenom increases crit strike chance of your poisons, and the crit strikes generate energy. And then Dragon Tempered Blades, you can apply one additional lethal and non-lethal poison to your weapons. So that is the one that gives us a third poison if we go down the middle. Okay. So the middle is compelling. The middle's kind of compelling. Over here, we've got Blindside. Ambush and Mutilate have a 20% chance to make your next ambush free and usable without stealth. The chance is increased to 40% if the target's under 30% health. Mutilate refunds energy against a poison target. That's very nice as well. Poisons and Bleed deal 10% increased damage to targets below 30% health. And Shiv deals 500% increased damage and no longer costs energy. So I mean, this is appealing as well, but I kind of want to go for this like hyper like bleed kind of crazy thing we have going on over here. So let's see what we have. I think we're going to go down this tree and maybe splash over into the middle, but we'll see. So connected to our Kidney Shot Bleed, we have Shadow Step's cooldown is reduced by 33% when used on a target afflicted by your Groat. I have found that Shadow Step is not great for the whole going behind people in open world content because they just immediately spin around to you right away because you're the main focus. You don't have a tank or anything like that. So I don't know how valuable that is. I mean, it's still just a 10%, 10-second reduction based on the fact that you're probably going to have Groat on your main target. I don't know if we need to put a point into it. On the other hand, Groat deals 50% increased damage and has no cooldown when used from stealth or for 3 seconds after breaking stealth. That is pretty awesome. So we want the increased damage on that. That's going to amp the bleed even further. Then we have Exsanguinate. So this is really good. 45 seconds to just pump the speed on our bleeds. I like that. While stealth is active and for 3 seconds after, your critical strike chance is increased. Probably, I mean, we're probably going to take a point in that. Yeah. Increase the duration of Groat's silence effect by 3 seconds. Enemies silenced deal 15% reduced damage for 8 seconds. I like that. Deal 1% increased damage to targets for each of your poison and bleed effects on them. Okay, so we get 2 points in that. That's 2%. That's 4% increased damage because we probably, just based on our poisons, right? And then we're going to have a Garrote bleed, and we're probably going to have a Kidney Shot bleed. If it's a rare spawn or something with more health, we may actually end up Garrote into Rupture into Kidney Shot, and that'll give us 3% for the bleeds, plus 4% for the, 6% for the bleeds, plus 4% for the poisons. So, you know, that's like an extra 10% damage right there. That's pretty good. It's not yet implemented, but seems pretty nice. Mutilate deals an additional 30% bleed damage over 8 seconds. So now we've got an additional bleed. That's pumping us up to 12%. I like that. And then we do have 5 more points we have to spend. So I think at this point, like, we've got a dump right here. Let's see. What do we have? This does nature damage. So it's not a bleed. It does count as a poison. This one here is a poison to reduce damage. And then what else do we have? We've got the attack speed and cast speed slow. We've got the instant poison. Alright, so let's pick up Death Mark. This deals a bleed over 15 seconds, and it's going to double up our Garrote and Rupture. So on a big target, we pop this. And we'll probably... Yeah, we probably pop this and then Garrote, I would imagine. Or maybe we Garrote out of stealth, right? To kind of, you know, make sure we get the silence going. And then it'll have no cooldown, so then we can pop Deathmark into Garrote, into Rupture, and then into our Kidney Shot bleed. And along the way, we're Mutilate. That just all seems really good. It's all the bleeds. So then from here, we've got 1 point, so Envenom duration increased by 3 seconds. I just don't see us using Envenom right now. I mean, we already have priority for Rupture in the Kidney Shot, I think. So I don't know if we want to put a point into that. On the other hand, Amplifying Poison also works in conjunction with Envenom. So I don't know if we want to put points in there either. Yeah, we need to spend 4 more points. So I think we pick up Improved Poisons. I think we grab Fan of Knives to have an AoE. Like we don't need to heavily invest into have a Fan of Knives, but we probably want to pick it up. And we could potentially... Okay, so we've got 2 points into... We're definitely not getting that one. Finishing moves grant increased damage. That seems fine. I think I'm okay with that. So then we have 5 points left. And Sepsis... I like the idea of being able to use Sepsis, but let's see what else we have here. We already know, like, going down here, I don't know if this really works with the build we have right now. We'll have to see when we go to the target dummy if it makes sense to use Envenom. If it does, maybe we'll go down this middle tree. But for now, you regain 5 energy each time your Garrote or Rupture deal bleed damage to a poison target. If an enemy dies while afflicted by Rupture, you gain energy based on its remaining duration. Seems good. Rupture increases your agility. You can gain this benefit from each enemy suffering from your Rupture. Okay, and then we can pick up... Oh, that is 3. 3 points, and then 1 point into Indiscriminate Carnage if we want it for the AoE application of Garrote and Rupture. So I think, like, when we get more points, we would probably pick both of these up. If we were going to be doing a lot of AoE, we could pick this up. But I think we just grab Sepsis for right now. So let's apply all this stuff. So we've got our Fan of Knives. We got our Shadow Step. We've got our Death Mark cooldown. Exsanguinate cooldown. Fan of Knives. Sepsis. Alright, so let's make a couple of changes here. So we are going to... Oh, look, we have our Deadly Poison. Alright. So we're going to be kind of spamming Mutilate. We're going to throw Garrote on the bar because we're going to want to do that even out of stealth. We're not always going to be able to stealth in and hit that. And then, like I said, we're probably going to Rupture into Kidney Shot. And then we've got a 2-minute cooldown here. We've got a 1.5 minute cooldown, 45 seconds, and 45 seconds. Okay. And now beyond this, I would probably like slice and dice for the heal, then Envenom, then we have Fan of Knives, and then we have our little range like utility thing we could use here if we want. So let's coat. We'll do Deadly Poison, and we'll do Instant Poison. Oh, we can only have one. That's right. We can only have one lethal poison, I believe. Yeah, so we can have one lethal and one non-lethal. So we're going to have our Deadly Poison and then Numbing Poison. Now that talent we were looking at, where was it at? You can apply one additional lethal and non-lethal poison. Yeah, so we can have a total of 4. 2 lethals and 2 non-lethals with that. Alright, so let's get a look at kind of how this is going to work. So we will Garrote. Alright, then we'll start Mutilating to build up combo points. Then we will Rupture on the target to start bleeds. We'll start Mutilating again. And then we will Kidney Punch. And I mean, at this point, a target in open world is probably dead. Like, just most likely dead. And then here, I mean, we could Rupture again for the bleed. I don't think we're going to have to do that much. I didn't look at the numbers, so let's look at the numbers here. But if we're seeing numbers in the 2,000 to 3,000s on any of these hits and stuff, we're doing pretty solid damage against the target. Based on the numbers I've seen from other classes. Pretty much anything that's like 2.5 to 3k or higher is pretty solid. So we're going to slow it down just a little bit and try to look at some numbers here. Alright, so our Rupture. Mutilate. It's hitting pretty weak. Sorry, that was our Garrote. Now that's our Rupture. That is a lot of bleeds, though. Alright, let's make sure we have all of our bleeds. So Rupture. And we're going to spin this back around. We got some energy regeneration issues here, I think. Alright, let's get our kidney. Let's pop this. Rote's about to come off. I'm sure. Okay, so there is a point where maybe we Envenom. I really just think the target's dead. Like, I think the target's dead at that point. It's probably dead with the first application of, like, the kidney shot bleed. So how long does it take us to get to that rotation? Right? Garrote, mutilate, mutilate, Rupture, mutilate, mutilate, and let's say we just kidney shot right there. The target's probably dead. I would guess. I think we're really going to need to see how this one works in open world content. Not to mention we could throw a sepsis out there every now and again. We could even pop Exsanguinate. So here's like another... Right, so we stack... We get our bleeds stacked. Alright, kidney shot, and then just pop Exsanguinate and just bleed them out super fast. It actually looks like Exsanguinate... No, it doesn't. It doesn't affect our. It doesn't affect our energy regeneration. Yeah, it's a hard one to know right off the bat whether or not like this is doing a good amount of damage, just because it is so focused on stacking a bunch of damage over time things that just don't have super high numbers. Maybe we kidney shot first. I know it seems backwards, but get the maximum bleed going in there. I mean, if you look at that, that's almost 1,000 like per second. That's, yeah. That just seems really good. So, is it the best build in the world? Probably not. It's the first thing I came up with here off the fly, looking at the assassination tree. Again, it's not overwhelmingly impressive against a target dummy because we really want to see things die, because we're not going to get big crit numbers like we do on some of the other builds. But I think this would probably work fairly well. I even think against, like, if you think about against like a rare spawn or an elite target, you do what I just did there. Like, hit him with the stun first. I might just keep rolling into kidney shot, honestly. Rupture only when kidney shot is on cooldown. So I think on the average mob, I would probably just roll into kidney shot, right? So it kind of looks something like this. Open, mutilate, kidney shot at 5, go back to mutilate, throw in a rupture, and then if you somehow don't have the mob dead by then, you have finish them off with an envenom. But on a rare spawn or an elite, you can get to that kidney shot phase, right? Mutilate, all that kind of good stuff. Throw on your rupture, and then just pump exsanguinate and sepsis into the target and death mark, right? And then you just drop a whole bunch of bleeds on them. I think I would do it. You want to stack length backwards, so you're going to do 18 seconds garrote, right? Let's do this real quick here. So this is like an elite mob. We're going to rupture. We're going to build that back into that. Pop this to bleed him out. Look at all that damage. Blah, 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 blah. You know, we're not even hitting them anymore. So I think that little combo would work fairly well. But we'll find out for sure when we go and do the open world test. You guys let me know what you thought about the build here, about the video. Like I said, if you want to see more videos like this beyond the alpha, make sure you throw a like on, you know, subscribe if you haven't, etc., etc. But that's going to do it for this video. So I hope you guys had fun watching it. Hope you maybe learned something or just got a nice look at the talents. And I'll see you on the next video.